Alright, so you can probably guess I'm still playing World of Warships. I've now got a bunch of ships up to mid-tier. I've got a Tier 4 American cruiser, I've got a Tier 3 Japanese destroyer. Destroyers are fun and fast. But what I really love is my Tier 4 Japanese battleship. Now, something that they've done in the game is, so far, the Japanese get cruisers, destroyers, battleships. The Americans get cruisers, destroyers, aircraft carriers, which I've not played yet, and the USSR get nothing. Which is fair enough, they're limiting content. It's a closed beta, I get that. It does make me very interested to see what the German and British boats will be like, because I know World War II is all about the Pacific theatre, but for me, battleships like the Bismarck, the Tirpitz, the Hood, that's where it's at. I know they'll be very, very high-tier ships, but I really, really want to see them. But anyway, I think last time I showed you some cruiser action, and this time we're going to look at the battleships. The battleships... drama. Battleships are very interesting. They have almost the biggest punch in the game. They're also fiendishly slow. Even at Tier 4, their turrets move very, very slowly. They maneuver very, very slowly. They're the slowest ship. Maybe carriers are slower. And like I said, they almost have the biggest punch, because this game really has perfected rock, scissor, paper, but in a way that doesn't seem overbalancing. The biggest damage comes from torpedoes. If a destroyer gets in close and lays down a spread of torpedoes, they can take down a battleship, without doubt. There's just no argument there. But they've got to get in close, or they've got to be very, very clever with guessing where you're going to be. Battleships are just... well, they've got all the hit points, they've got these big guns, which are a lot more accurate and reliable than torpedoes. But they're also a bigger target, and they're slower moving, so they're easier to hit. It's very, very interesting balance, and if you position your battleship poorly, if you make the wrong decision at the start of the game, it can take you almost the rest of the game to get back in position. Quarters. Which some people may find boring, and late game with a battleship can be a little bit slow, but yeah, it's still fascinating. So here we are. We have two carriers, cruisers and destroyers and cruiser, and there's all the battleships in the centre. And this is going to be interesting. This is deadly through here. I've never not managed to make that passage without getting destroyed. But I also want to wait and see where the rest of the battleship's going, because... and it looks like everyone's ignoring that passage, which can be very, very dangerous. Destroyers coming through there, you just get into the back line and take down battleships like you would... battleships and carriers like you would believe. And yet, there's a lot of wisdom about keeping battleships together. But no.
Autopilot mode enabled.
I think that passage needs to be covered. So, full speed, almost ahead. So, this is the Tier 4 Japanese battleship, Myogi class. It has 3 very heavy turrets, each with 2 cannon in them. Its broadside is devastating, and its auxiliary weapons, all these little turrets at the side there, fiendishly inaccurate, of course, but again, you get close to a target, they start auto-firing, and it'll do the trick. So given where I'm going, I need to start aiming there now, because it's going to take almost a minute for my turrets to traverse. Alright, so someone has spotted me. They've probably spotted me through maybe the fighters that are up there. The Japanese carriers have sent torpedoes out to the other flank of the map, which actually makes me happy as a as a battleship, torpedo bombers are just horrifying. You're such a big target. And torpedo aircraft will drop torpedoes very close, so it's not unusual to get hit with the entire spread. There's a cruiser, just out of my maximum range. There's another one there, also just out of my range, but in somebody else's, probably a higher tier battleship.
Autopilot mode disabled.
Alright, so my aim here is to round this island. Ugh. So sluggish. To turn around this island, and I'll come back closer to that strait, hopefully spot anything moving through it. And hopefully by then, if I don't see anything, it means they're ignoring it. Because basically at this point, that's a bloodbath, and you'll commonly see either side just staying away, or one side going there in strength. Oh god, and I've just noticed we've already lost a cruiser and 2 destroyers, probably 2 torpedo aircraft on that far flank. And there goes another cruiser. This isn't looking good. We are now 4 ships down. The enemy have not lost a single vessel. And I think they've actually pretty well suckered us. They've sent a lot of stuff centre and at the far flank. And I'm slowing down here because going too fast I won't be able to take this corner at all. This is that point in the game where you feel like a real idiot for not rushing off to the other flank, but I still think it's something that needs to be really need to cover all bases in this game. When destroyers get through your line and get into the back and they get in amongst your carriers, it's absolute carnage. I mean, destroyers close in against battleships is nasty enough. Oh look, and here come torpedo bombers. Birds are way and very close. One. I dodged all of them. I am, if you'll pardon my French, I am fucking amazed. And you actually see the gap. Somehow they dropped randomly with a gap, and that's the gap that I must have transited through. That is really quite stunning. So, those 2 cruisers are transiting the strait. I'm not. I'm gonna... This is a long... Literally a long shot. Yeah. Because he's turning... close. It's one of the things I like about this game. There is so much skill with leading your target. This is the other drawback of battleships. Mammothly slow reload times. So I won't even get another shot. By the time I fire, he's going to be out of range. It's not even worth it. So you'll see there, those red triangles are enemy torpedoes. Obviously been fired at these 2 cruisers. Okay, we've taken down one of their cruisers. They're not taking any more losses yet. However, if you look down at the mini-map in the bottom right, you'll see two silhouettes of destroyers capturing and playing around with our backline. Now, this is what I meant about battleships getting out of position. I've tried to maneuver where I might think an enemy force is coming through. They're not. I've turned around. It's slow as. Now, I've got to point out that I don't know what it's like to watch, but to play, it really isn't that... It's not as boring as I think it may look. Because you're constantly thinking ahead about positioning, about where your ship needs to be, about where your turrets need to be pointing, because look how long it's taking for these turrets to get in position and go green with the targeting reticle. So, there we go. There's 2 cruisers that have gotten through us, and in fact we've now lost 3 more ships. We are so screwed. Ah, come on. 1 on either side? Really? Okay, so now I'm going to turn. I want to get myself broadside to these guys so I can hit them with my entire throw weight. Okay, so these guys are now capturing. Oh yeah, that was a good hit. Set him on fire. Now these are 2 cruisers. They're hammering me, but they have lower caliber weapons. So it's incremental, but 2 of them together can really hurt me. Ah, and this guy's almost dead. So he is my target. I have got to take this guy out. Me using a repair crew. Gives me a little bit of health back. Someone's fired torpedoes at me. They've missed. Good. And I sunk. And I sunk that guy. That is happiness. Which basically makes me one of 3 people who's managed to sink an enemy vessel at this point. On fire again. He's probably just used a repair crew to get rid of it. So he's going to be on fire for a while now. And that's a second fire. That's one of the nasty things. Well, the tanks, you can only get set on fire once. Here it's multiples. And all the time it's doing damage. Not quite as much as in World of Tanks. Well, probably is as much, but... Now I'm on fire. There you go. Put that fucker out.
Ship is on fire. Problem solved, sir.
Okay, so you now notice that my smaller guns are operating without me needing to do anything. And he's now inside my turning circle. He's so close that my turrets can't keep up, and I can't turn fast enough. He's hammering me. Got him.
Enemy cruiser sunk.
Whew. Alright, that was tense. And as you can see, I am now beat up. Mind you, that run did take care of both of our carriers. And there's an enemy spotter plane up there. So we're now down to 2 battleships. You can see one out there. And a destroyer And there are more torpedoes incoming. That must have been a... Yeah, those guys. But that's an easy miss. That's good. Torpedoes have just gone after the other battleship. And I think he's dodged them. And who's that? It's another battleship. Okay, this gets ugly. I bet he's not hurt. Well, he'll be hurt a little bit now, hopefully. But that could overshoot! Yeah, alright. Closing targets are just hard to judge where they're going to be. So he's coming straight at me, which means he can only shoot me with one turret, although he's turning now. He's also a higher tier. Yeah, Fuso, I think 1 or 2 at least tiers higher. And turning again, alright, there they go. Oh, look, more torpedo bombers. So that turn, the way they're turning there, suggests they've put their fish in the water. I don't even know where. God, that's... There they are. Shit. Okay, that was a good drop. This is going to suck. I can't turn. There I go. I was so heavily invested in a turn to port that I could not get the rudder to starboard fast enough, and so... Oh god, there was another squadron on me as well. And yes, that battleship I can now see is untouched. So there's our other friendly battleship. Not long for this world. And the same class as me as well, so... Low mid-tier. He's now the last ship standing. So I may as well follow him until that happens. Well, I'm not upset with that loss, because... Okay, well, let's have a look at stats. In fact, I've topped out the damage ratings. And that's the interesting thing. I've managed to actually pour on damage for such a reasonably relative engagement time. But if you look at these guys, 6 of their vessels managed to top 1,000 points. One of their carriers included. It's probably the carrier that got me. Yeah, that's just absolutely insane. I took down 2. Yeah, look, 3, 2. Yeah, small number of their ships were in the right position and really knocked us out. And as you can see, we just weren't able to do the same amount of damage. Anyway, I hope that was fun. I hope that was informative. I'm looking forward to more people getting on board with World of Warships. I think it's the best game they've done yet. And I hope, later in the week, you'll listen to my next Let's Play. Thank you very much.